Welcome back, America. We're here with our friend, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. He was a former U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander. He's the founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, which really takes on these radical Islamists and so forth. And he's also running for Congress in the 4th Congressional District in Arizona. Zuhdi Jasser, as we hear and watch people like El Said in Michigan, this guy that was an interpreter for the blind sheik, who's now a Democrat nominee in a very Democrat district. When we hear people like Mandami, Talib, Omar, these are the kind of individuals who push the kind of ideology that you've spent your adult life fighting, being a Muslim yourself. Are they not more adherents to, and I will mispronounce it, you can correct me, to Qudit, to this so-called scholar, and part of, obviously, a major force in the Muslim Brotherhood? Are they not really more, and I'm not trying to be provocative or controversial, ideologically aligned with even the Iranian regime than they are supportive of our own country here?
Absolutely, Mark. We cannot overstate the reality of the fact that these are Islamists, are part of the global Muslim Brotherhood movement. They believe in Islamic states and want to spread that ideology. And Sayyid Qutb came to Colorado, went back to Egypt, launched the Muslim Brotherhood, 100 years ago, and ultimately Hassan al-Banna and others then had it metastasized with hundreds of different branch movements, from Hamas to Al-Qaeda to legacy groups in the West, and the Western groups that then have a farm team that now Abdurrahman al-Sayyid is part of the leadership of that. CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, a Hamas-adjacent organization, Muslim Brotherhood ideology, had a meeting in Philadelphia in 1993 that the FBI said, basically they said that they want to destroy us from within. Their biggest existential threat to their existence is Western freedom, is Western liberalism, Americanism, the anti-theocratic movement. And that's why my family and I and so many Muslims formed the American Islamic Forum, because our best weapon is the laboratory of Americanism against political Islam. Their farm team, Hassan Piker, Mamdani, Hamawi in New Jersey, Ilhan Omar, all of these Islamists are trying to destroy us from within and rip us apart. And Obama's DEI program, that then, this is why he called Mamdani, he's sort of the product of that DEI, infantilizes Muslims as a race when in fact it's an ideology. And they, just like as parasites, will ride the horse of socialism into power. And as we saw in Iran in 1979, the Islamists rode with the socialists, the Marxists, the two-day party in Tehran. And 4 years later, in 1983, the Marxists were hanging from cranes as the Islamists consolidated power, and they've been in power now for over 47 years.
Is it fair to say, and we'll take this in the next segment, is it fair to say, my position is, this isn't a matter of the DSA conquering the Democrat Party. It is the Democrat Party at this point. They keep talking about a big tent. A big tent. You know, you don't have a big tent for the Klansmen. You don't have a big tent for Nazis. You don't have a big tent for... You don't have a big tent for Islamists who seek to overthrow our country. Zuhdi, I imagine that you may be public enemy number one to these Islamists, including those, especially those in Congress, who would be able to stand up on the floor of the House of Representatives and confront them. Which gets to my point I asked earlier, which is this. This is the Democrat Party, is it not? They want to dismantle the Constitution, too. They want open borders, too. And so they keep talking about this big tent. We're a big tent to all these people. What do you make of that?
They can't do that. They're like the arsonists trying to declare that they're now the fire department. You know, at the end of the day, my race is taking on national prominence as a national race because districts like our 4th district here in Arizona that is mostly independent, that has 40% independent, 33% Republican, and 29% Democrat, are really how the roads of the future of America go through districts like ours. Why? Because Greg Stanton is an empty suit. Democrats like him who claim to be co-chairing the Democrat Frontline program couldn't even sign the Promise to America pledge that a few Democrats signed about supporting capitalism, supporting patriotism, supporting free enterprise, and being against socialism and government ownership of companies. Only a few Democrats did, but yet the socialist adjacent, the Hamas adjacent, Islamist adjacent Democrats are basically, it's not about a big tent. They're letting them ingest the Democrat Party and becoming radicalized. And that's why for years I've been saying, you know what? As a Navy-trained doctor, I took on socialism within the healthcare community for decades. I've taken on Islamism. So you need to show, you can't just be moderate in the press release or moderate in your speech and then vote in favor of organizations like the DSA that have ingested a major political movement in America. And families like mine, Mark, came to America to believe in the American dream. So we need a firewall. And I'm not just one more seat in Congress. I would be a firewall implanted in the server against the Islamists and the socialists, and they know it. But we need to install that. We need to do that as a country, district to district, and I'm one of those candidates that could do that.
I should say so. And I find it amazing that Democrat candidates have such difficulty rejecting this. There's a handful, and to be perfectly blunt, they tend to be Jewish moderate members of the House of Representatives, like Oshheimer and a few of the others. But there's not a lot. The Republican side rejects this completely. So my question to you is this. We all see this now. I spend a lot of time talking about the Marxist-Islamist fusion. I write about it and so forth. Congress needs to do something about it. The Department of Justice needs to do something about it. The Department of Homeland Security needs to do something about it. People have come into our country that seek to destroy it, or people are in our country, thanks to Biden, millions of people, but a certain percentage of them who are here to destroy it as well. We hear these imams say it. We see the marches in the street. We hear it. We see it. The ruling class needs to do something about this. Do you agree?
Absolutely. We need members of our party, independents, Republicans, in a position to prosecute the case for Americanism at our 250th anniversary. We need to be able to argue what it is about free markets and tell the youth it's not just about the word socialism. It's about government ownership of not a redistribution of wealth. Socialism is the redistribution of poverty. And my family has seen this movie before. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. And that's why I'm running, and that we need to install folks into office that can argue what Americanism is all about. And the Stantons of the world in my district claim to be moderate, but they're actually not able to sign that Promise to America about free markets. They don't negotiate. They stay as an empty suit. They stay as somebody that blends in. Buttigieg, Axelrod, and others are now campaigning for al-Sayed, campaigning for a guy who couldn't even get a security clearance probably to be a tour guide at a government facility, and yet he's going to be possibly a senator, which doesn't make any sense. The DSA beat 60-1 funding against them. And we need to do the same thing on the right, which is to start to fund candidates nationally, and go to z4az.com, because I can be a firewall installed on day one to defeat the Islamists and the socialists, hit the ground running.
The Democrat Party now is institutionally incapable of, in fact, it's impossible to fight this, because they are part of it now. The Democrat Party, no question, is the political entity through which they operate. And this is something CARE bragged about decades ago and said they were going to do, that this is the party, the Democrat Party, and they are devouring it. And unfortunately, there's not enough courageous voices in that party, certainly at the higher level, to fight this. All right, Zuhdi Jasser, I want to thank you very much. God bless and good luck to you, my friend.
God bless, Mark, and please go to z4az.com to help us in this nationalized race of ours. Thank you.
All right, good luck.